Let's set the scene. You're winding down for the night. You've got lights on all throughout the house. The shades are up, the door is unlocked. Now you can go through and turn each one of these things off one by one, remembering each and every single device, or you can create a scene to do that all for you and press a one button. So today, why don't we just say goodnight?
I'm Patrick Hunt, and I want you to like smart home tech as much as I do. Real solutions with Matter, Apple Home, and a little creativity. Weekly, I'll show you how small upgrades can make a big difference. Welcome.
This is the fourth installment in my Smart Home Beginnings series, and I urge you to go back and watch those other videos because there's a lot of great information there. Now, my introduction into scenes was with Philips Hue many years ago with just lights and light bulbs. So I would look at my room and change the lights to fun colors and call it a scene. And I do think lights are a great place to start with scenes. In every single room, I have at least 3 scenes. I've got bright lights, which turns the lights on to 100%, or as bright as I want them to go, which sometimes is only about 65%. I have dimmed lights, which turns the lights on to 25%. And then I have nightlight, which turns the lights on to 1%, just enough so you can see where you're walking. These are some of the most useful scenes to have in each room because they're the most often used, especially if you need to revert back from a colorful scene that you were playing with earlier. But let's think bigger, because this is really the core of scenes. Creating a one-tap or automated shortcut or snapshot of a bunch of devices across multiple categories throughout your house to all do something at the exact same time. And a great scene to experiment with is the goodnight scene. Everyone has a version of this. It could be as simple as just turning all the lights off in the house. But then we start thinking across the device categories: security, climate. Why don't we create a scene that not only turns the lights off, but it sets our temperature to one that's comfortable for nighttime, or locks our front door, or sets our security system. Even if you know your door is locked, you should still include it in the goodnight scene, because if it's not locked, it's gonna lock it. And if it's already locked, nothing happens. This is good for the nights where you might be a little bit busier and you don't want anything to slip through the cracks. And again, scenes aren't just about turning everything off or turning everything on. You can turn some stuff off and some stuff on. For example, my wife goes to sleep a little bit before I do, so she can turn off all the lights and go to sleep. And then when I'm ready, I can run the goodnight scene, which locks the front door, turns off a lot of the lights, but it's also gonna be turning on the nightlight in the bedroom and turning the adjacent bathroom to a nice dim, something that's not bright enough to wake her up. Now, scenes don't have an automatic trigger unless you connect them to an automation like time of day, for example. You can run your goodnight scene at 11 p.m. every night, but I don't recommend it if you include your security system and locking your front door in the scene, because who's to say that every single night you're gonna be inside before 11 p.m. You're gonna get locked out, and then once you get in, you're gonna set your security system off too. So scenes do need to be triggered, and I'm pretty sure there's no fewer than like a dozen ways to add widgets on your phone so you have easy access to the scenes for one tap. And of course, you can ask Siri to run a scene for you as well. But the most convenient way I've found to run scenes is through buttons and scene controllers throughout the house. I have these Innovelli white series switches, and each one of those has a favorites button in the top right corner. And I can map 3 scenes to that: one press, double press, and long press. Scene controllers and buttons come in all shapes and sizes, and you can put them on the wall, you can hide them under a table, you can put them on the ceiling if you want to. I've been thinking about buttons in a very different way than I used to. I used to put them on the wall, and I never really liked the way that they looked because I always just wanted it to be a light switch, which is why I started buying smart switches in the first place. I just wanted to replace the old switches and not have a button right next to a light switch. So I've been hiding my buttons in convenient places for me. I've got one next to the couch, I've got one next to the tub, and I've got one next to our nursing chair in the nursery. The nursery button enables our son's goodnight scene. So that's gonna turn on dimmed lights in the nursery, it's gonna turn the hatch on, which has some music that plays, and it's gonna turn all the other lights on the upstairs floor off. The button next to the couch is our evening TV button. So it's gonna turn all the lights off on the main floor, some dim lights on in the family room, and it's gonna play the Apple TV. The double press on that button pauses evening TV. So it pauses the Apple TV and turns the lights on in the kitchen. Usually it's for one of us to get up and grab a snack. And then the button next to the tub just turns on fun lights in the bathroom for bath time. A long press of that button turns all the lights back to bright. So I urge you to think about buttons a little differently. They don't have to go on the walls, they can go just about anywhere. I like the RE button because it's matter over thread, so there's no hub. It's very small and very easy to place. To run our goodnight scene, I actually used the Innovelli switch that's in our dining room because it's in a very convenient place. So if I long press the favorites button, it's gonna turn off the majority of the lights in the house, it's gonna lock our front door, it's gonna arm our security system, it's gonna turn on nightlight in bedroom, and it's going to turn on dim lights in that adjacent bathroom. And remember, the scene is kind of just checking the state of these things when it runs. So if the device is already in the desired state, then you've basically just double checked at that point. You also can't turn off a scene, which I thought was interesting at first, but if you think about the logic, it makes sense. Even though when I'm often talking to Siri, I'll say turn on scene, I should really be saying enable, because some things might be turning on and some things might be turning off at the same time. And when you think bigger than the immediate right in front of you and start pairing these scenes with automations, that's when they become extremely powerful. And if you need more on automations, click the link above and give my intro automations video a watch. Once you've mastered the good night scene and the mainstays like bright, dimmed, and nightlight, then you should move on to the good morning scene, which can become a beautiful mess of an alarm going off and triggering the HomePod to give you your schedule for the day, the weather for the day, turn the coffee pot on, turn the lights on in the kitchen, and that can go on and on and on, but that's a scene for another day. If you aren't yet, please like and subscribe. And for now, good night and good luck.